Hi everyone, in this video we are going to provide an overview of Titan. First, let's understand what Titan is, and then we will look at the Titan portal. Titan is a cloud-managed, secure SD-WAN and SASE solution designed for mid-market enterprises. It is designed for lean IT and is intended to improve business continuity and operational efficiency. Once a customer is set up, they will receive an email to set their password. After setting the password, they will be redirected to the login page, where they can access the portal, which looks like the image shown here. Now let's go to the portal and see how it works. Upon logging in, you will land on the configuration page where you can configure devices, create sites, deploy, and activate devices. Once activation is successful, it will display a green LED box indicating that the site and device are active. The portal has several sections like configure, monitor, troubleshoot, inventory, org settings, templates, audit logs, and users. These options vary based on user roles. For example, an enterprise admin will have access to all the tabs on the left side, whereas users with lower privileges will not have access to sections like users or inventory, etc. Let's start with configure. Let's look at how to deploy a device. As mentioned earlier, the configure section is where you manage your devices, create sites, deploy, and activate devices. During deployment, you can choose from topologies such as hub controller, spoke, and full mesh. We also offer high availability, allowing you to deploy 2 devices connected back to back. You can modify configurations and publish them with options such as security, steering, routing, and miscellaneous. In the configure section, you can view device configurations related to network, security, steering, DNS proxy, routing, and miscellaneous. These options are available based on the 3 tiers of licenses. The first license is the enterprise license, which has basic security features, including URL and IP filtering. The second license is the advanced security license, which adds IPS and threat protection. The third license is the secure access optimization license. There are other differences in the licensed features as well that we will discuss in the video. Once the customer logs in, they will see their available license. Since I have already deployed and activated the device, you can see the honeycomb view. New customers will not see this. Instead, they will see options to view available licenses ordered for their organization. You'll need to drag and drop, create a site, and activate it. To deploy a device, drag and drop the device icon. Then fill in the necessary information like site name, address, and city. Choose your preferred topology and save. You can also select the image version for deployment and configure any service add-ons, such as a secure application optimization license. After entering all details, save the site. For example, we'll configure a site called Test Site in Bengaluru, and the country is India. The system can auto-generate the latitude and longitude based on the zip code. You can choose a template. In this case, I'm using FM2, and once saved, the site will be created. If you click Next, you'll see the configurations based on the chosen template. If needed, you can modify these before deployment. For detailed instructions on deployment, site creation, and activation, refer to our video available on the Versa Networks YouTube channel. The portal provides different views such as honeycomb view, list view, and map view. The dashboard includes a site legend that explains the status of each device, the device models, and the types of licenses we have. For example, if you see a star symbol, it indicates a secure app optimization license. If you see a plus symbol, it represents an advanced security license. If there is no symbol present, it indicates an essential license. All these distinctions are clearly outlined in the site legend, which you can download for your reference. The list view displays the first 10 devices and allows for pagination, making it easier to load and navigate. The honeycomb view shows all deployed devices, so if you have many devices, for example 1,000, loading them can take some time. Additionally, you can configure columns in the list view to display different types of alarms that are active on the devices. There are several types of alarms, including critical, major, minor, and indeterminate, which notify you if a WAN interface goes down, a monitor is down, or if other issues arise. You can click on the alarms to display them in more detail for each device. In the list view, you can also view details like device model, name, topology, admin state, operation state, and serial number. You can click Configure to view similar details to those in Honeycomb view. The map view helps you see where your devices are deployed. Additionally, if you went to deploy a new device, for example, in Japan or the US, you can go to the specific location's address and simply drag and drop the device. When you drag and drop the device, the address is automatically fetched, so there's no need to fill in the address manually. You can save the site, modify configurations as needed, such as network security, steering, DNS proxy, routing, and miscellaneous settings. Let's take a look at the available configurations under Network. Within Network, you can configure Wi-Fi, LAN, WAN, and LTE. If the device model doesn't support certain features like Wi-Fi or LTE, those options will be disabled. For device models that do support Wi-Fi, you will be able to configure the Wi-Fi options. Let's go through an example. I'll drag and drop a device that supports Wi-Fi so that we can demonstrate the Wi-Fi configuration. Once the license is activated, in this example it's a partial license, I will select the FM2 template and save it. The next step will show the Wi-Fi configuration. Within the Wi-Fi section, you'll see predefined default options like corporate and guest networks. Others are added manually through the template. We'll cover how to create and modify templates later in the video. If we go to the corporate Wi-Fi, you can enable or disable broadcast, adjust security modes, and configure encryption protocols like auto, CCMP, and TKIP, following industry standards. You can also manage radio settings such as dual band 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz, each with its own channel selection. In dual band, channel selection is set to auto mode, where channels are auto-selected. If you have a third-party Wi-Fi radius server, or if it's a radius-ready server, you can configure WPA Auto, WPA2 Auto Enterprise, WPA2 Enterprise, and WPA Enterprise for authentication. For WPA2 PSK, the configuration is handled within the box. You can show or hide the password, reset the password, change the SSID, and add additional Wi-Fi configurations. When you add a new Wi-Fi, it will name the SSID automatically, but you can change it to the value you want. Once these settings are configured, you can save the configuration, and if it is associated with an active device, you can publish the configuration to push the updates to the CSG device. If you prefer the default template configuration, you can click on Easy Pick, which will reset to the default settings. Only modified configurations can be saved, otherwise no service configuration changes will be applied. You will only be able to save the configuration if you have modified it. Next, let's discuss lane profiles. You can create IRB, VLAN, and 802.1x authentication profiles, where you can choose the radius profile. You can manage MAC addresses, spanning tree, and link aggregation, lag settings. Ethernet ports are configurable, allowing you to set port types as L3 or L2, depending on your requirements. Each organization will have a default VRF based on the org name, and you can add more lane VRs as needed. If the option to create multiple VRFs isn't available, you can contact the Versa support team for assistance. The LAN address pool and DHCP server settings are automatically fetched during the drag and drop process, along with the IP subnet and IP start and stop ranges. However, if necessary, you can modify the subnet range, configure lease profiles, name services, and add custom DHCP options. For Wi-Fi supported devices, additional Wi-Fi settings will be available. The first Wi-Fi is corporate, but you can rename it to fit your organization's needs. All configurations, including Wi-Fi 3, Wi-Fi 4, and Wi-Fi 5, can be modified, and you can enable or disable settings, change VRFs, and assign roles accordingly. You can also use the Easy Quick Picks to reset the Wi-Fi to the default configuration that is available in the template that you have chosen. For port forwarding, you can add NAT rules, destination, static, source, no NAT, and configure the external interface, precedence, internal and external IPs, ports, and protocols, TCP, UDP, or any protocol. You can also manage device IP reservations. This allows you to reserve IPs for specific devices by choosing the lane they are connected to, assigning interfaces, IP addresses, and MAC addresses. Once a device is activated, you will have the option to view connected devices with their IP addresses and MAC addresses. You can create reservation rules, publish them, and if necessary, reset the configuration to the default settings. Since the device is not activated in the example, it isn't showing that option. If you go to an activated device and go to Configure, and look at the Device IP Address Reservation section, you will see the option to view the connected devices. It will have a pre-filled IP address and an interface where it is connected. You can choose to add the IP address reservation rules to the device. These are the rules that are already added. And if we open one of the rules, you can see the rule properties. This device is connected to the WLAN one, which is the Wi-Fi. If it is connected to a LAN port, it will show the LAN. It shows the IP address and the MAC address of the device. You can also delete the rules from here. You can publish the rule or use the easy quick picks to reset the rules to the default configuration. You can then publish the configuration to the device. Since I did not publish this, it is telling me that there are unsaved changes. When publishing configuration changes, any existing rules on the device will be replaced, and the system will display the status of the change. If you went to see if the publishing was successful, you can view it in the task log. Here we can see that the publish was a success, and that the IP reservation rule was deleted. If the publication fails, you can view the reason for failure in the task log. If you need help, you can always contact Versa's team for support. Filters are available to track task statuses by username, activity, entity, or by the time. If you went to view the failed tasks, you can filter based on the failed status. The same can be done for in-progress tasks and for completed tasks. You can use the reset button to reset the filter. The system maintains task logs for up to 15 days. After that, the older tasks will be deleted. You also have a filter in the configure window, and you can filter by type, model, status, active, out of service, out of sync, activation failed, topology, and activation methods. Add-ons such as enterprise security, advanced security, and secure app optimization can also be used in the filter. For easier navigation, you can pin views like honeycomb view or list view. This way, if you return to the portal, it will stay in your preferred view. You can also collapse or expand menus to focus on specific tasks, so the menus will be minimized, and tooltips will appear if you hover over collapsed menus like Configure, Troubleshoot, Inventory, Settings, Templates, and Logs. Click Configure next to a device to view the configuration. We've already seen the configuration of the network LAN and WLAN ports. Let's go to a device and view the configuration. For WAN configurations, devices supporting LTE will show WAN and LTE in blue. If you click on the device image, you can view device images and port configurations such as console ports, management ports, and LAN ports. For example, port 2 for LAN activation and port 5 for management. If you are activating a device, you can connect an Ethernet cable to port VNI02 for ZTP activation. We have a USB port option as well, and you can see the internals such as the ground contact, the power connection, GPS connector, status LEDs, and the power button. If you click on the WAN port, you can see the WAN settings. WAN port 0 is the default, but if you want to add a new WAN, you can do that from here by locking the device if it is an activated device. If it is a new device, when you drag and drop, you will have an option to go to the LAN, where you can delete the LAN, and then you can come back to the WAN and add the new WAN. Here you can see the circuit role as transport, internet, or MPLS. Since this is an activated device, it is disabled, but in case you went to change the internet to MPLS, you can lock the site and do it. For tunnel selection, you can see there are 3 options: internet only, SD-WAN only, and SD-WAN internet and DIA split tunnel with SD-WAN internet as the tunnel default. In case you want to change it permanently for all your devices, you can add it in the template, and when you drag and drop, the same configuration will be fetched from the template. You can see the WAN VLAN ID, MTU, and network address settings. In the advanced configuration, you can see the WAN, link speed, gateway, upload, and download bandwidth. For upload and download, you can enter megabits per second, kilobits per second, or gigabits per second. You can configure the interface mode as trunk, access, or bridge interface. You can configure the traffic shaping by choosing the guaranteed traffic rate, transmitted rate, and ingress traffic, with link monitoring enabled by default with predefined values. If you want to disable it or modify the values, you can do that. These are the default values. You can modify them if you want. This is where you configure the PPPoE for the device. Since it is already set to internet, you cannot configure PPPoE, but if you went to configure it, you can lock the device. When you lock the device and click on Configure, you can enable PPPoE for the device. If a port is already configured as an NTP server, it won't allow you to change the configuration. But if you went to use the secondary WAN as PPPoE, you can delete one lane and come back to WAN to add a new WAN with PPPoE. Here you can enter the username, password, service name, and access concentrator. You can also choose tunnel selection, just like we saw for WAN. If you lock the device, all the options will be available. So you will be able to change Internet to MPLS and MPLS to Internet, redeploy the device, and configure a static IP if necessary. Since PPPoE is enabled, it won't allow you to enable the static IP. However, if you disable PPPoE and click on static, you'll see options to enter an IP and gateway, as well as primary and secondary DNS. For the tunnel, you can create an IPsec tunnel. There are options for policy-based and route-based IPsec tunnels. In security, you have security policy, decryption, and authentication settings. For security policies, you can create firewall rules. You can also configure logging, whether default, none, or custom. If you don't want firewall logging, you can choose none. If you choose custom, you'll need a logging server, which can be added from here. If you select default logging, the logs will be available in Versa Analytics. By default, 4 rules will be created and you can reorder them. The actions are color-coded: violet for applying the security profile, green for allow, and red for deny. You can also search for a rule by name in case you have many rules and you can reorder them. You can view the rules in grid view or list view and pin the view you prefer. You can add URLs to the deny or allow list, effectively creating a blacklist or whitelist. When you edit URL categories, you can see both predefined and custom categories. Custom categories are shown in blue, indicating those you have created. If you want to add your own custom URL category, click on Add Custom URL Category and create it with a name, description, confidence level, etc. You can also configure URL reputation, marking URLs as high, suspicious, or moderate risk, and deciding whether to allow, deny, or ask for action. The antivirus is configured to standard by default, but you can switch it to low or advanced if needed. IPS, Intrusion Prevention System, has different profiles and rules that you can enable based on the level of prevention you require for your device. There's also geo-filtering, where you can create rules for regions to block, allow, or drop sessions based on geographical location. For file filtering, you can block or allow file transfer based on file type or reputation. You can apply this to protocols such as FTP, HTTP, API, IMAP, MAPI, POP3, and SMTP. The default action can be to alert, allow, block, or reject files. In the decryption section, there are default decryption rules. You can create new decryption rules and attach decryption profiles as needed. You can also reorder the decryption rules. Both default and custom decryption rules can be reordered. Moving on to authentication, you can create rules for different authentication profiles. You'll see authenticators such as SAML, LDAP, and Kerberos. You can create an authenticator profile and attach it to the rule. Alternatively, you can also choose not to authenticate. Now, let's talk about steering. The default steering profile will be available, but if you went to create your own steering profile, you can add it, or you can edit the existing profile and update it. You can also add a steering rule. When you click on the rule, you'll be able to set match criteria. In zone selection, the destination zone will be disabled by default. This rule will have a business-critical profile attached by default. However, if you want your own profile, you can add it and attach it here. You can also enable TCP optimization, logging, and other options. Additionally, you can add web proxy bypass rules from this section. You'll need to enter the rule name, description, proxy port number, domain pattern, and applications. In the URL category, under Set Criteria, you can also add a snap pool and monitor the profiles directly from this page. Next is the DNS proxy section, where you can add a DNS proxy profile and attach it to the DNS proxy rule. For routing, you have static routing, OSPF, and eBGP routing protocols. In the Miscellaneous tab, you have options like the ALG profile. You can configure SNMP for both LAN and WAN. If the WAN is static, you'll be able to configure SNMP, and the IP will be fetched automatically. If you want to change the source IP, you can do so from here. You can also override the DF bit by choosing the tunnel and configure the NTP server for your device. Syslog server IP configuration is also available here. Furthermore, you can configure the captive portal for both LAN and WAN. If you want to add multiple captive portals, you can choose the network name that needs to be configured. However, keep in mind that WAN must be static to add these configurations. You can also add a loopback interface and a snap pool, as well as monitor traffic from here. There's also a VNF manager configuration option where you can add the IP address prefix. Additionally, you can enable the Security Pack Auto Update, SPAC. If disabled, SPAC updates won't be installed. But if you enable it, the latest SPAC will be automatically installed on your device. Lastly, you can configure traffic shaping, where you can add peak rate and peak burst size and then publish it. Whatever configuration is added will be pushed to the device only if published. If it's not published, it won't be pushed to the device. That covers all the configuration options. Now let's move on to the monitoring part. When you go to the monitor section, you'll see all activated devices and their statuses, covering network, security, and device information. You'll be able to see the status of WAN, LAN, and LTE connections. The access circuit graph will show you application and routing information, where you can also perform ping tests and trace routes. In the security graph, you'll see data for URL categories denied, URL reputation denied, and other data in graph form. You'll also see the file filter data for the devices, the availability of devices connected to the SD-WAN, and bandwidth usage. You can also monitor connected devices and perform SD-WAN speed tests between devices. Let's go to the monitor screen and see what the UI looks like. If you go to any device and click on Monitor, you will be able to see the network, security, device information, and connected devices. In the connected devices, you can see the devices that are connected with their IP addresses and MAC addresses. The SD-WAN speed test lets you test site-to-site bandwidth. You can pick site and interface and start the speed test. You can see the results. If you open the network window, you can see the network status of the different ports, such as WAN 1 and WAN 2, 5G, and LTE, if the device supports 5G or LTE. You can see the routes for the WAN and LAN as well. You can do a ping test for a device or a trace route. When you click on Start, it will perform a tracer route and display the results. Next, let's go to routing, where you can monitor the BGP routing and the OSPF. You can check the routing instance data for all interfaces for both OSPF and BGP. In IPsec, you can select the IPsec profile created and monitor the tunnel status. In the IPSLA monitor, you can view the WAN and LAN state, along with the last flapped details. If a connection is down, you will see the down status. Click on the WAN, and you will see the access circuit graph, which shows the SD-WAN and Internet. In applications, you can view a pie chart that represents applications used over the last 12 hours, the last 7 days, and the last 1 hour. In security, you can see the security graph, which shows the URL categories denied and the URL reputation denied. These URLs are categorized, and you can view the data for each category in a pie chart representation. Click on URL reputation to see the denied data categorized by high risk, moderate, suspicious, and trustworthy. All URLs will be available if you click on the reputation. In file filter, if there was a file filter action taken or denied, that data will also be available in graph format. This concludes the monitoring section. You can also view the monitor in different styles, such as honeycomb view, list view, and map view. The map view shows the geographical locations where these devices are deployed. Devices that have a green LED are the devices that are operational. You will only see activated devices in the monitor. In the configuration section, you can find deployed, not deployed, activated, and not activated devices. The monitor will show only activated devices, while devices shown in red indicate that they are not reachable. If a device has a green LED, it means the device is up and in sync. If the configuration status shows as degraded, it means one of the WAN or LTE interfaces is down. If you see that one of the WAN interfaces is down, you need to check the WAN link to bring it back up. You can also view alarms for the device by opening the recent events, which are categorized into critical, major, minor, and indeterminate states. You can see the site legend and how each device's status is represented. You can also choose which columns to display. If you don't want to see the alarms column, you can uncheck it and apply. If you want to reset to default settings, you can do that as well. Now we move to troubleshooting. In troubleshooting, if you click on the troubleshoot option, you will see options like cannot connect to internet, cannot connect to Wi-Fi, slow internet connection, and cannot access a website. If you cannot connect to the internet, click on that option and check the connection to see if the device is reachable or not. In case the device is reachable, you can return to troubleshooting. If you cannot connect to the Wi-Fi of the device, you can select that option and access the Wi-Fi settings. Instead of going to configuration, this will open the settings directly. Here, you can make changes to Wi-Fi settings, reset the password, or change the security mode, and then publish your changes. If you went to reboot the device, you can use the reset button to reboot it, which will take about 2 to 3 minutes. If you are experiencing a slower connection, you can perform a speed test between devices to ensure your device is not running on LTE backup. In the network section, you can verify whether the device is operating solely on LTE or if the WAN is also up. If you cannot access a specific website, it might be due to firewall settings or URL categories that deny access. You can check this directly from the URL partition category. If you have blocked a category and cannot access a website, you can adjust the settings from there. This concludes the troubleshooting section. Now, regarding inventory, this is where you can view all your ordered devices. You will see the software version, whether the license is expired, the activation date, and all the required information available. By default, we have shown only 8 columns. If you went to see other columns, for example, subscription, you can uncheck an already selected column and choose the subscription column, then apply. Now you can see the subscription data of the device along with the activation date. If you went to see the SPAC version or the OSS pack, you can choose those options, and it will display their respective versions. If a new SPAC update is available, it will show updates are available like this. For the device software, if an update is available, it will display the software upgrade version and prompt you to upgrade. To upgrade the software or SPAC, go to the 3-dot button on the right side below the action column. If you click on Software Upgrade, you can download and upgrade the software from here. You can change the username and password for both admin and other users. You will see the admin user, and you can edit and change the admin password if required. You can also add custom users by providing a username and password, granting access only to the CLI with the available roles, while they will not have access to the shell. You can upload certificates, keys, and CA chain certs, etc. You can also undeploy the device from here. Since this device is locked, you will not be able to undeploy it from this section. If you went to undeploy, go to Configure and unlock the device. After unlocking, you can go to the inventory and undeploy or activate the device. You can see the active licenses and total licenses here, which includes active licenses and the devices that are already active, as well as the total licenses for the devices ordered. If a device is expired and within its grace period, it will be shown, and if it has completely expired, it will indicate that as well. You can export the device report as a CSV file, which will include subscription data, device names, and everything in a CSV format file. The org settings section refers to organization settings. These settings are common for all devices. You can create profiles or rules that can be used for different devices. This serves as a global setting for the organization and is applicable for all devices and gateways within it. In the management profile, you can include SNMP settings, custom logs profile, DHCP lease profile, file filter profile, custom applications, custom URL categories, VPN profiles, SNAT pool profiles, alerts and notifications, and VNF manager settings. You can create these for individual devices or for multiple devices from the org settings and then push them to the devices. You can create a spoke group by clicking on it, ensuring you have a hub device to create a spoke group. Different flavors of spoke groups are available, such as spoke to hub, spoke to spoke only, and spoke to spoke via hub. You can also click on the cloud account to add AWS access keys and secret keys, allowing the user to deploy the CSG device to the AWS cloud. Additionally, you can add authenticators and custom captive portals. In the management profile, you can see all the previously explained options, including custom logs profile, SNMP profile, DHCP lease profile, file filter profile, and push those settings to the devices. You can also manage custom applications, custom URL categories, VPN profiles, SNAT pool profiles, alerts and notifications, and VNF manager. You can create a spoke group here with various flavors such as spoke to hub, spoke to spoke via hub, and spoke to spoke direct. You can also create regions. If you want to have a region, you can only add the spoke group if you have the hub device deployed. Now, regarding the cloud account, you can add an AWS cloud account using the AWS access key and secret key created for your IAM user. This allows you to deploy the CSG device to the AWS cloud using different regions. In a later part of this video, I will show you how to deploy the CSG device. In the Authenticator section, you can see different authenticators such as LDAP, SAML profile, Radius profile, Kerberos, and Wi-Fi Radius profile. You can configure these profiles here and use them for individual devices across the organization. You can also create a custom captive portal. By default, the captive portal page will have the default Versa portal design. If you want your own captive portal page design, you can edit the HTML and CSS, upload it here, and apply it to all the devices. Additionally, you can choose different action types, such as ask or block. Now, let's add notifications. You can add rules and configure your email to receive notifications in case of a critical alarm, ensuring you are informed if any alarm is triggered. Moving on to templates, you will see different types of templates, including device template, service template, and Versa Secure Access template. In the device template section, you will see only the default template during fresh enterprise creation. If you want to create multiple templates, you can clone the default template and create new ones to assign to the devices as needed. You can maintain different templates for each device model or topology. For instance, if you have multiple topologies, you can create a different template for each topology with a unique template name. This way, when you create a new device or push a specific configuration to a topology, it will be pushed only to that device. Click on the clone icon and choose the template type, which is typically topology. If you want to push configurations in bulk, for example, enabling or disabling corporate Wi-Fi, you can make the changes and publish them to multiple devices. The system will list the devices based on the license security tier, allowing you to click on Validate and then Publish. Note that if a device model does not support Wi-Fi, those devices will not be listed. For other devices, the configuration will be pushed to the device. Only in the cloned custom device template can you publish the configuration to multiple devices. Publishing is not supported for the default template. You can also save the configuration that you have already pushed in the template. In contrast, with the service template, every time you open it, you need to add the new rule. For example, if you want to add a rule, you will need to add it and publish it. This configuration will not be saved in the template. This is the main difference between the service template and the device template. Under the Versa Secure Access template, you will find the Secure Access default template. This template is not applicable to all devices in the organization or enterprise. It is only applicable for remote access VPN devices or multi-tenant environments with RAC RAS tenants. When you open it, you will see the configuration, and if you change anything, it will be pushed to the remote access VPN device if you have one. If there is no gateway or remote access VPN device in the enterprise, this template will not appear here. Now, coming to audit logs, every configuration change you make will be captured in the logs. You can view the status of the last configuration pushed to the device, and you have the option to export the audit logs to your local system. Please note that the Versa portal maintains audit logs for up to 15 days. Next, let's click on the Users section. Here, you can manage multiple user types, such as Enterprise Admin and Enterprise User, each with different privileges. If you need to bulk import users, you can use the provided description file format to ensure a successful import. When creating a user, you will need to enter the first name, last name, email, phone number, and the user platform, which is Versa IDP. If you want to allow a user to log into this portal, select Versa IDP. To add external users, you can use the User External option to create a user. For single sign-on, you can configure Okta SAML, allowing users to log into this portal with their Okta credentials. If you went to create a VSPA, RAC RAS, you must have a multi-tenant gateway with VSPA or a remote access VPN branch with RAC RAS enabled. Users created in this section will be stored in the Titan database and authorized to access the Secure Access client via the user accounts created, specifically for users connecting through the VPN client provided by Versa. Moving on to the notifications section, this area displays all notifications you receive. For instance, you will be notified if a device is expiring, if you upgrade any device licenses, if the device is running on LTE backup, or if you lose WAN connectivity. Notifications will also be sent to your email. You can change the language using the language switcher option. For instance, if you are from Japan or Spain, you can select the desired language for viewing the portal. If you click on the documentation section, it will redirect you to the Titan document portal, which contains instructions on how to configure and use devices, along with release notes and deployment guides. Clicking on the contact icon provides contact numbers for support in each country, allowing you to reach out to the support team directly. If you click on support, it will take you to the Freshworks support portal, where you can raise a concern or ticket if you encounter any issues or need assistance with any Titan features. In the settings section, you will see the Manage Profile option. By clicking on it, you can view your first name, last name, email, and other details. Here, you can change your Titan portal password and gain access to Versa Director and analytics data. If you wish to log out, simply click on the Logout button. To clear notifications, select the notification checkbox and click on Clear. That concludes the Titan overview. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Versa support team, who are available 24/7 to assist you.